Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with another independent comic book review. I need a name for these. Independent Alley, Independence Day, Independent something or other, whatever, blah, 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 yada, yada. Anyway, it's a bunch of quick independent reviews, much in the same way as the old Marvel vs. DC videos. We would do just 1-minute reviews to give you an idea of whether a book is good or not. That way, you can, as we say, hashtag move the needle. Seriously. And if you drop a Marvel title, here are some suggestions for you to go to so, you know, you could still support your local comic book shop. Anyway, I'm going to explain what a 1-star, a 2-star, so forth means on the way. So kick back, relax. I hope I find something for you that you could go to and check out, or maybe something that I could help you and to not pick up because, I don't know, it sucks picking up a bad book. I don't know. Anyway, let's get going. The 1-star books are absolutely terrible. You should avoid them at all costs. Abbott number 1. So this is written by Saladin What's-His-Face from Black Bolt. And I praise Black Bolt, man. That is a good book. That man can write. He can. I mean, when he wants to, he could tell his tale, and it would be tight. Saladin Ahmed, it says here. This guy is talented. Got to give it to him. When he wants to, he can write a good story. Unfortunately, as far as Abbott is concerned, he is not interested in writing a good story. What he is interested in is showing you exactly how racist he thinks white people are. Holy Toledo! Even the ones who are actively not racist in this book say racist things. This is such a waste of time and money. There is no way, shape, or form I could recommend this book. As a matter of fact, I think just because it was published, Image owes us money. That's it. Not really. Don't put comments, really? You think Image owes us? No, but I think, yeah. Oh, well, we're going to publish 1,000, then 1,000 people get the money for it. It's just, holy Toledo, it's bad. It really is. And the message is anyone white sucks. The 2-star books are merely bad. They're horrible with a little saving grace. Days of Hate. Man, this book is something else. Written by 2 people with Notch? I don't know. Foreign, and they've got the squiggly signals all over their words rather than just spelling it out. That's who wrote it and drew it. Anyway, it's actually not bad if you're talking structure. I mean, it's well-paced. It sets up its world pretty well. It tries to be cinematic rather than a comic book, which I see a lot of books these days do, like they want to sell it to the movie company. Problem is it is way misguided. Anybody who doesn't agree with white man or white girl and black man, don't look for a name, by the way. It gets right into the story until they meet Asian woman. No names are mentioned. It's like, oh, I got this story, but don't let us get to know your characters or we may actually care about what happens to them. Yeah. And the story itself, the politics of the story, is like listening to an Antifa member explain social sciences. Figments number 1. Well, now, this is, as they describe, one of many individual stories. They're all going to be single-issue stories, and this deals with a woman who is caught under an overpass, and she confronts a guy and, you know, has to call on all sorts of reserves and strengths. And really, it's very obvious what this is really about and what, I mean, there is no subtext here. This ends up being a story that you could tell this is by somebody who doesn't read a lot. You know, they had it, ooh, I know, it'll be so clever, except for it's not. Yeah, it's bad, guys. And you can tell the art has no detail in the backgrounds. It's just, and maybe that's by design, I don't know. Otherwise, it's a poor-looking book, and it's a poor-written book as well. Kick-Ass number 1, starting with a really bad cover that covers up everything. I mean, you know, definitely they're trying to sell it on there. On the title alone. Now, I did make a full video of this, so check that out. The short version is this. It's not good. Sorry, guys, it isn't. It follows a woman that we're supposed to be caring for her. They don't really give us a reason why, except to say that she's in some bad situations. But in all honesty, what they do with her is they make her the villain, and the only reason why we see her as a hero is because we're following her. She's every bit as bad as the bad guys she says she's fighting. So, yeah, sorry, gang, not a hit. I like the original. I would have been on board for a female kick-ass. I'm not against that if it's written well, but unfortunately, this one just wasn't. Star Wars: Forces of Destiny, Rose and Paige. Well, now, this is not good. It really isn't. And, okay, the weird thing is Rose is doing things with her sister, and we know what happens to her sister in the movie. And it's kind of, I don't know, it puts a dark pall on things, even though that this is possibly the most cartoonish of all of the Forces of Destiny, meaning it really does look like it belongs in a cartoon, which is what I'm wondering, are they planning on going in that direction? Like, is Disney going to start putting a Saturday morning cartoon of Rose out? Or any of these girl books, which that's what all of these are. It's just pushing the girl characters, trying to get them in, which I guess it's okay. You want to expand the audience base, but come on, do it better than this. Versus #1. Oh my goodness gracious. This I was looking forward to. I heard somebody say it was pretty good. Didn't go into details, just said, yeah, I like that book. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to save this one for last on my January #1s. And yes, I understand by this recording I'm very late. It's almost March. Anyway, I started reading it, and it's one of those books that does not tell you what's going on for the first 10 or 15 pages. After you find out and it gives it a story, it's fine. But for the first 10 or 15 pages, it's just an action scene between this guy over here and that guy over there. And they do it in a way that you're not even supposed to root for anybody because we're following this guy. It's just they show people and then all of a sudden they're fighting. Boom. And we're supposed to care. I'm sorry, guys. I know every comic book artist wants to be a movie writer, or comic book writer, whatever. Point being, it's not a movie. Stop writing for the movie. Stop. This isn't even writing for the trades. This is the whole thing about the opening action scene sets up the story, but it doesn't set up shit. All it does is waste 15 pages. After the story gets going and you realize this is a televised gladiator thing, that is when it gets interesting. But it doesn't get interesting until half of the book is done, and I am sorry, I cannot give a good grade to half of a book that costs $4. The 3-star books are average. They didn't really register with me, but hey, if you check them out, you might like them or you might hate them. Padme and Ahsoka. Well, I just said it wrong. I'm reading it right here. Star Wars: Forces of Destiny. Ahsoka. I didn't watch I know Padme from the movie. I didn't watch I watched the movie she was in, so I've got some idea of the character. This is a very Disney book, and by that I mean it is for kids, but they give it to IDW instead of Marvel. I thought that was kind of weird. But it's written down, and I'm not a big fan of that. If you're going to make a book for a kid, sure, you can make it for kids, but challenge them. And I don't think that's done here. This is very much a straightforward Ahsoka, whatever her name is, feels like she needs to prove herself. She does, and Padme and them, I think they actually high-five at the end. Hey, we're friends, woohoo! Very simple story, very simple storytelling, and it's kind of meh. Call of the Suicide Forest #1. So I can only guess that this book was made before the whole Logan Paul incident, and it is kind of awkward after the Logan Paul incident. Reason being, because this is all about a white girl that goes to the suicide forest because, she heard about it. And when she's there, there's monsters that chase after her and everything. She wanted to die, but when she saw the monsters, she all of a sudden wanted to live. And then there's a Japanese girl that has basically been learning how to deal with these monsters, not the one she's describing, though. It really, she is put down for the fact that, well, you listen to J-pop and you heard a few stories, read some anime, and now you think you know all the culture. And what it seems to me is they're making this extravagant story surrounding basically the suicide forest, which just the fact that it exists alone is story enough. You do not have to make a sensationalist story about this, and they do. It's okay for what it is, even if you get past all the stuff behind it. It's a decent story, but it isn't really good. But if you really do think about what they're talking about, it really just seems wrong. Grim Tales of Terror, #1, black and white, has a decent story at the beginning of it about these kids who cast a curse on their father because he kills their kittens. Yeah, it's one of those stories to kind of curl the toes of any parent out there to treat their kids the way the kids want to be treated rather than whether, actually the father's a dick in it. So, you know, it's kind of like a get his comeuppance kind of thing. The rest of the story, though, is a black and white script, which it was okay. It's a decent story. I'm not a big fan of the script thing, though. I know a lot of comic books, they figure, hey, it's an extra. Let's throw in the script. And then, unless you've got notes going out through it, it really is just like reading a comic book that isn't a comic book to me. Like if it were a novelization of it or something, you know, along the lines of The Watchmen, it would have worked. But as a script, Pacific Rim #1. So, okay, I liked the movie. I wasn't overwhelmed by it, but come on, big robots and big monsters you can hardly lose with. And this comic was pretty much the same thing. It's a lot of fun, and it gets you back into the mythos of the film. It does explain everything, but it's also just normal. You know, for a book that's supposed to be about the Pacific Rim universe, it seems a little small. I thought it would be more epic, and it wasn't. Hopefully it builds up to that, but I'm only reviewing issue 1 right now, not the entire story. And issue 1 is all right. It's decent. If you're really a Pacific Rim fan, though, I think you're going to get a lot more out of this than I did, somebody who just casually enjoyed it. Songs for the Dead issue 1 is structurally pretty good, but there are problems. It's about a necromancer who decides to take a job to find a boy, and when she does, he's dead. She raises him from the dead because she's a necromancer, and decides for free that they're going to go on revenge and get the man responsible for his death. It's not bad, actually. It's enjoyable, it's entertaining, but it's not good either. The art is inconsistent, and the story, for as easy a read as it is kind of all over the place. And even though it's not a long book, it did drag in certain places and it felt long. Overall, I don't think the book was ruined. It's a 3-star book. It's average at the very least, and I guess we could see where it goes from here. I guess this is Star Wars Forces of Destiny Hera, by the way. Okay, now, I guess that if you are going to do what they seem to be doing with these Star Wars cartoon books from IDW, which is promote the female characters, these are the ways to do it. Now, that doesn't mean that these are awesome books. Average at best so far. There's one more I have to go through. This one is a very simple story. It's a one riot, one ranger story. You know, there's problems on this planet, so we're gonna go. Oh wait, we called for an army. Well, you got the 2 of us. One riot, one Jedi, I guess. And it's just that kind of story. You know, rally the troops and let's go fight the bad guys. In the end, it's not bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, sit there and go, well, I don't like that. Nah, but it's absolutely average. The Walking Dead, 176, New World Order, Chapter 2 of 6. I noticed there's similarities between the last cover and this one. Well, okay, the guards, but they added a woman. And in all honesty, it's kind of generic. Basically, it's the same story when they went into Alexandria for the first time and they had to tell everybody their history. except for this time it's Michonne, and she's really just wanting to get on with it because she found a picture of her daughter saying, or someone saying, hey, looking for Michonne. I don't know. It's not a strong issue. It really isn't. But considering Michonne and her daughter, well, spoiler alert, guys, were reunited at the end, I am interested in seeing where it goes. The 4-star books, they're good. They're solid. I can recommend them to you without being embarrassed about it. Belle Beast Hunter #1. Holy crap, this thing has a lot of dads. Joe Brucia, Ralph Tedesco, and Dave Franchini came up with a story. It was written by Dave Franchini. It's drawn by Bong Dazzo. That's the name of the year right there, Bong Dazzo. All right, but that's not talking about the comic book. That's talking about Bong Dazzo. So anyway, Bong Dazzo, I wish they named the character that, Bong Dazzo. Anyway, this is a fun book, man. Yeah, sometimes you want to read Mal's or Sandman or something that takes you on a journey of character and self-discovery, and sometimes you want a book about a woman with big boobs beating up monsters. This is actually pretty fun, and it's entertaining. I was very surprised. And hey, Bong Dazzo, you do a good job on the art as well. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's about a big boob woman beating up monsters. It's not incredibly deep, but there's enough character there for you to actually like the people who are involved, which I think is kind of important. Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you like action films or action comics, it obviously is based on Beauty and the Beast. It's just entertaining. That's the best review right there. It is just entertaining. Hungry Ghosts #1. So the conceit of this is that it's about a rich group of people, who have hired chefs not only to cook them the best meal of their lives, but then to regale them with horror stories that are based on food. And it's based on a game where people would they would go into a small room with 100 candles, and after each one told a horror story, they would extinguish one of the candles. And as the room grew darker, people grew more afraid to tell the story. Because it's kind of an anthology story, it's uneven, but it's still kind of fun. I've got to give it to this book. It's not a bad horror book if you like scary comics. Strangers in Paradise #1. So this is by Terry Moore. This has been around for a while, but I have to admit, I read a few issues when it first started a long time ago and thought it was boring. So I've never read Strangers in Paradise. How long has it been? Like 20 years now? It's been a long time. So I was pleasantly surprised by this. There are definitely elements that I liked. There's a little bit of intrigue. It is a character book, and by that I mean this is one of the few books I know that really sacrifice plot for character. I mean, it's imbalanced, but it's imbalanced in the way that, you know, you get to know your character, so hopefully it pays off. You know, I mean, it's not bad. It's actually pretty good, and you actually get to know people who you're reading about, and that is a rare thing these days. Reactor #1, written by Donny Cates and drawn by, what is his name, Dylan Burnett? Something Burnett. Man, I had it down. It's on the next credit page, and I just blew it. Anyway, so, yeah, I'm doing all these, there it is, Dylan Burnett. Okay, so I'm doing all these new #1s, and I come across this, and it's from the same guys who are like, oh my gosh, I hate everybody who doesn't agree with me. And I'm like, okay, do I want to give them a fair shake? But you got to go with what's on the page, and what's on the page here is pretty damn fun. Donny Cates has got clever wit to him. It's basically a story about a planet that's been taken over by vampires, and there's a 10-year-old immoral president, and he is questioning whether to save some troops that are on the ground who are now being surrounded by these vampires. A lot of fun, gang. I got to admit it. It is a lot. Robin Hood, The Curse #1. So, okay, this is Xenoscope's Green Arrow, and to tell you the truth, she's kind of fun. I think just sometimes can be every bit as good as DC's Green Arrow. In this case, though, she's going after demons because, of course, you have these two sisters who call themselves witches playing around with powers they can't comprehend. And, of course, they drudge out some demons. Robin Hood, at this point, is nowhere near it. She's bouncing around another city. She comes to the airport. She comes in late. Most of this is just setting up the trouble that these girls caused by delving into the dark magics and so forth and so on. So this is all of a setup issue, but it takes its time to teach you who the characters are. So you do get all the information you need, and it still ends up being a fun comic. And the 5-star books, well, they're just the best, and they accomplish what they're setting out to do. Comic Book History of Comics, Volume 2, Number 1. So I guess it would be kind of redundant for me to say I love comics. It's the name of the channel. And the truth is, I really love comics, and I love the history of comics. Not just what's on the page, but what happens behind it, and that's where this comes in. To be more specific, the Comic Book History of Comics Volume 2 is tracking graphic novels. The first one was about straight comics. Now, one thing that people might be turned off on from this book is the fact that it's non-linear. Like, it'll have a topic and it'll go back to the beginning. Like, it all starts at 1818 and stuff like that. And then when it gets another topic, it'll go back to the beginning of that. That being said, this is a brilliant book. If you love comics the way I do, if you love the history of comics the way I do, this is a great supplement. The funny thing is they bring up Classic Illustrated in this book. And this is like the Classic Illustrated of comic book history. So it's kind of meta in that way, that even though you are getting the history of comics, it is an abridged form. So I really do, on top of this, I recommend let this be a bridge to other books that may teach you about the history of comics. Otherwise, excellent. Top notch. Well, those are my opinions. Those are my picks and such. What do you think? Did you try any of these? And if so, was I wrong? Was I right about some? Did I point you in the direction of a few that you might want to check out? Some of these actually have an issue 2 on the shelf already. I'm a little bit behind because I just got the bright idea of reviewing every number 1 of the month, and I realized, well, I'm a month behind, so I've got to, or 2 months at this point, so I've got to, step it up. And I'm going to get them all out there, by the way. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of me doing number 1s, and just did I point you in the right direction for something? I'm very happy to hear this kind of thing. So by all means, leave a comment below. Don't forget to click like, share, of course, subscribe to get word out about the channel. Even if you think you're subscribed, hit subscribe, and both of you, just don't forget to hit that notification bell. Make sure it's rung so you don't miss anything around these parts, because cool things happen. I know. I'm here all the time. And, well, they do. Anyway, Patreon stuff. So YouTube really has messed up the notifications and the subscriptions on my channel. So I figure, okay, you know what? Just to help out with the Patreon, I'm going to give all the patrons a chance to win a graphic novel or trade paperback every month. This time around, it's Batman illustrated by Neil Adams, a beautiful book. It is shrink wrapped. It's brand new. It has a $50 cover price, and it's basically the 1970s, late 60s, early 70s Batman books that Neil Adams did when he first came on to DC. Incredible stuff. A lot of fun. Great art. I'm reading it myself. It really is a lot of fun. And just $1 gets you into the running. So yeah, I'm going to be giving away 1 book a month on the 6th of every month. So the drawing will be March 6th. So you do have a little bit left to jump on. Links in the description below. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that. And to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.